Okay, Miriam, I will start with a simple question. What's making you crazy right now within the company? I want to know what is going on here that might affect whether or not you're meeting your business objectives.
Well, we're still in the startup phase on our new bottling line. We were only doing distribution, but now we're starting manufacturing. We're having ongoing issues finding employees that want to work, but I understand that's going on everywhere.
Okay, then how are you capturing these things in your quality system?
Quality system? What do you mean?
Well, the standard says you need to determine internal and external issues and monitor them. What's your evidence that you're doing that?
Here it is. We discussed this in the management review. We've redecorated the lobby and we're all getting company cars. I want a Land Rover. The external issues are the traffic is getting worse and worse here, and someone is opening a daycare next door.
Well, this is all very interesting, but many companies use this clause of the standard as a way to focus on actual issues in the business that can be improved. You're supposed to use the QMS as a way to address problems like hiring and production efficiency.
Heh. We never looked at it that way.
Okay, then. The standard now requires you to consider climate change and its importance to your operation. Do you have objective evidence that you did that?
Climate change? Tommy thinks that's a hoax. We've made the corporate decision to not worry about it.
Well, it's not up to me, the auditor, to draw any conclusions. Let's see how your major customer is addressing it. Can you call up the Blockhead Corporation climate change statement?
Here it is. They think there's going to be an increase in weather related disruptions hurricanes, fires, even blizzards. They sent a questionnaire to us not too long ago, but we just checked the boxes and sent it back.
Well, that's interesting. If they required you to reduce your carbon footprint at some point, what would you do?
Carbon footprint? I suppose we'd have to hire a cleaning service to take care of it for us. We're already not allowing the employees to walk through the lobby to keep the carpet clean.
Okay, next we're going to have to talk about your scope statement. Can you call up your scope statement?
Here it is. Distributors and resellers of industrial consumables.
Okay, then I have a few questions with regard to your bottling line, which you said you now have. When you installed that line, did you notify the registrar that you were changing your scope?
No, not really. Should we have?
I was afraid of this. It's better that I open this can of worms now rather than later on in the audit. Well, first of all, your contract with the registrar requires you to notify the registrar if there is a significant change in your business. Adding a piece of production equipment puts you in that category. You're already not meeting a requirement. Now, I need to probe into this.
Okay.
When you did all of this, did you have to hire new employees?
Yes, we had to add 5 employees. That makes our total employees up to 26.
The next question is, in this production line, are you doing anything to the product, such as reacting it or heating it up or just repackaging it?
We're doing a reaction. We are using a digital control system to control the process.
Okay, then, can you now call up your website?
Here it is. We hired a professional photographer for this shot.
Well, all of this is fine up until now. You can add new processes as much as you want. If this was just a bulk breaking situation, you would still be okay with distribution as your scope, since you wouldn't be doing anything to the product except taking it out of one package and putting it in another. But you're doing some kind of reaction or blending, and you're also offering this product line to the marketplace.
Is that a problem?
It's not really a problem, it's just that you're not in conformity with the ISO standard. Clause 4.3 of the standard requires the scope statement to include the products and services covered. Yet you're promoting this product line on your website, which also has the ISO logo.
Yeah, and
And you can't just do that without that process being audited and included on your certificate. To a prospective customer, this looks like the chemical process is part of your ISO system, but it's never been validated by a third party to determine if you can actually do it and meet requirements.
is that a problem?
The problem is that it's probably going to result in an increase in audit time. Also, it might very well have been a problem because not every auditor has chemical processing in their auditing scope. If you want to include this process in your certificate, I am going to have to get back with the registrar to get them to change this to a scope extension audit and tell them about the added headcount. It's very likely this audit will be extended.
Tommy needs to hear this. He isn't going to like spending the money. Tommy, it looks like there's going to be an increase in audit time if we want our bottling line to be certified.
No, goddammit. This is too expensive already. The registrar just wants to get more money from us.
Well, suit yourself. The other option is for you to take down the part of your website that is promoting your bottling line since it's not part of your registration. Okay, enough of this. Let's go out and audit receiving. Before we do, can we call up the receiving standard operating procedure?
Sure, let me call it for you. Here it is.
Okay, it's revision 5. All safety rules must be followed and all employees must be trained.
Yes, that's right. I used our new letterhead on this.
If anything is wrong with the shipment, the employee should not receive it into the MRP system and initiate an MDR. That's some kind of material deficiency report, right?
Discrepancy. That's right.
And hazmat can only be handled by a hazmat-trained employee.
That's right. We're trying to keep hazmat to a minimum.
Okay, we have plenty to audit now. Let's go out into the receiving department and see what's happening. Okay, this is good. Let's talk to this employee. Hello, I'm Frank, your ISO auditor. Can I please get your name?
Hey, I'm Rufus. Glad to meet you.
I just have a few questions this morning.
That's okay with me.
The first one's pretty easy. Do you have an operating procedure back here?
Yeah, it's over here in my filing cabinet. Here it is.
Cool. Can you tell me what revision it is?
Revision 4. It's right here at the top.
Okay, that's interesting. I guess the main question I have is, what's your job? If you wanted to receive something, what would happen?
Well, usually, the trucks pull into the dock here, and I use the forklift to unload it. I inspect the product, and if everything is correct, I sign for the shipment and enter it into the system.
That's fine. What if it's not correct?
Well, in that case, I have to write it up. I have to do a MDR and put it in the MDR cage.
Well, that seems pretty straightforward. It's the last time you received something.
Them drums came in a few minutes ago.
Hi, Rufus, what are we looking at?
This here's that shipment I got a little while ago. I inspected it and entered it into the system.
So it's correct?
Yeah, I put it into the system.
So tell me, Rufus, what exactly is hexane?
I actually don't know. I just checked the label and shipping documents.
Well, if you wanted to know, what would you do? Where would you get that information?
I'm not sure. I usually don't care what it is, as long as it agrees with the paperwork.
Well, Compliance Officer Miriam, where should our friend Rufus go for that information?
Rufus, there's supposed to be a safety data sheet that comes with it. These should also be filed in the filing cabinet.
So what happens now? Does it stay here?
Yeah, I will take it to the warehouse in a few minutes.
Okay, Rufus, I have just about enough information. I just have one more question. What do you know about the quality policy?
I ain't never heard of that.
Rufus, there's a little card with the quality policy on it. We gave it out during the all-hands meeting last week.
Oh, yeah, I was making a delivery that day.
There are a couple of things to talk about before we get back to the office. First of all, notice that in all of this, I am making observations, but not coming out in the moment and telling people they aren't in conformance. If I did that, people would stop giving me information. Secondly, it's not the auditor's job to tell anybody anything. The auditor's job is to gather information. So I let Rufus explain the reality of the situation and followed up with a question. Exactly what is hexane? I know exactly what hexane is, but I want to know if Rufus or anybody else knows. Also, notice that I respect the chain of command. It's Miriam's job to have that information, and I want both Rufus and Miriam to learn that communication channel. It also gave me a chance to find out if Miriam can see what's going on. That's about all for now. We're going back to the office to get some more information before jumping to any conclusions, which is another thing the auditor should do if there is a question. Okay, Miriam, we need to look up a few more documents.
Okay, go ahead.
First, I want to see Rufus's training records. I want to see if he was trained in receiving.
Okay, here is the first page. Here is the second page.
Uh-oh. It looks like our friend Rufus was trained in orientation, but not trained in either the warehouse or handling hazmat.
Wait a minute. Willie is the lead technician. He was supposed to document any training that Rufus got.
Well, that's fine, but that's not what the record shows. Okay, next, let's look at your record control matrix if you have one. This is a list of your necessary records and your plan as to how to store and protect them.
Okay, here it is. All of the records in this place are stored electronically on the server. This includes all of the HR and training records, as well as production records.
Okay, that's fine. That should make it easy. Now, please call it the SDS for hexane.
I can't find it in here. Whoever receives the item should have scanned the SDS sheet into the shared folder.
Oh, have you given any thought as to how to tell that to Rufus?
Willie is supposed to do that as part of the receiving training.
Okay, then, let's call up a generic hexane SDS sheet from the internet so that we know the basics. Here it is. Come to find out, hexane is flammable and toxic. So what should have happened is that Rufus should have caught that at the door and immediately said something to someone. Actually, according to your receiving procedure, revision 5, he should have impounded it immediately and generated an MDR. Instead, he seemed pretty confident about releasing it to the warehouse. That's because it didn't have the required hazmat labeling and also didn't apparently have the SDS document. But of course, he didn't know that since he didn't have the training. There's one more thing. Did anybody besides me notice the guy standing outside the open dock door smoking within 15 feet of 160 gallons of flammable solvent?
Please stop. Please stop.
Surely in your system you have some kind of access control procedure or some kind of fraud prevention procedure that tells him not to do that. Okay, Tommy, here's the current situation. We've audited one process so far, which was receiving. We found an obsolete work instruction contrary to clause 7.5.3 and 8.5.1, both of which require use of suitable documents. We found that your receiving department received a shipment that didn't conform to the requirements because of the documentation. This is a minor nonconformance under 8.6, which requires you to ensure that requirements be met. We also found that there is no objective evidence that your employee back there was suitably trained to do receiving or to handle hazmat, contrary to your own receiving procedure, which requires the employee to be trained, and also Clause 7.2 of the ISO standard, which requires you to determine the necessary competence and ensure training. We weren't able to find objective evidence of an SDS sheet in your electronic file, contrary to your record control matrix, which requires it. I am still not finished investigating this issue, but if I find out that you received this material before now and not filed the SDS, you're out of conformance with your own requirements for this. Your receiving procedure also requires your operator to handle non-conforming material via your MDR system. But that obviously didn't happen in this case. But at the conclusion of this, we're going to find a place in the plant where this material hexane is used and see if there are any previous shipments that are also mislabeled. We're also going to investigate the MDR cage just to see what that is about, and also investigate your documentation for any foreign object and debris requirements to keep your loading dock doors shut and restrict access to your receiving area. Just for your information, there was someone smoking within 15 feet of 3 drums of highly flammable liquid. I'm at the limit of what I can contribute as an ISO auditor, but just as an interested party, I would prefer not to have this place burned down this afternoon.
So what do you want me to do about any of this? Miriam is accountable for what goes on with the ISO system.
The ISO standard requires top management, which I've been told is you, to be accountable for what is going on with the QMS and ensure that your system produces its planned results. And also ensure that enough resources are provided so that your company can do that. We also have to report that your management representative, who you have designated to be responsible for maintaining the QMS, has run crying from the building. If we continue with the audit, we're going to have another guide.
Well, you're here now. If we drop our ISO certification at this point, our major customer, Blockhead Corporation, will assume we're not committed to quality. Can you please finish the audit?
Sure, but the auditing standard requires me to have a guide.
Carol, do you know the system well enough to be the guide? Debbie and I are both busy today.
I will try to be helpful. I do know what's on the server. I will try to give Frank what he needs.
Okay, you're the customer, and I'm committed to customer satisfaction too. We'll try to get access to your system and go from there.
See? There's something wrong with my laptop.
Oh, I don't like the looks of that. What's on that laptop that we should be worried about?
Not much of anything except about 7 years worth of emails, including a lot of customer personal information, all of my passwords and bank accounts, and a lot of communication with aerospace customers, which might be covered under some secrecy regulations.
What about your sales contacts? Customer names? Sales records?
This is bad. Better run this by Tommy.
Like he's gonna help. He's only pretending to be an IT guy. This is ransomware, right? I think you're supposed to hear from someone that wants to collect the ransom.
Seems kind of purpose-defeating if you can't get into your email.
This is almost sickening. We have to deal with Windows 7, which has been out of security updates for 14 years, and on top of that, we have to try to get Tommy to get off his ass and do something useful. Meanwhile, Brian can't get to his calendars or his correspondence. I sure hope there isn't anything very important on there.
Any ideas as to how in the hell this happened? Did you open some kind of email attachment?
The spam filter is terrible on this thing. Isn't there some kind of backup system?
Sure, for the PCs that are hooked up to the network. But since your laptop stands alone, it isn't backed up unless you back it up. Most of us in the office run our email off of the server, and that is backed up nightly.
That's great unless you travel. Anytime I ever tried to hook up to the server, it was useless.
None of this is solving the problem. How are we going to get that data back?
We aren't. Brian here is going to have to get a new laptop, and start over, and this time not surf the dark web or whatever to keep this thing from happening.
Weren't we going to upgrade the system at some point?
I thought we were going to defer that and buy you a Jaguar for your company car instead.
Shut up about that car. We don't have time for this.
Okay, Carol. Looks like it's just us. Let's take a walk.
My pleasure. I've been waiting for this moment. Any place specific you'd like to go?
Well, I want to end up at the place in this plant where the hexane is used. How we get there is up to you.
There's something overheating in here. Do you see it? Oh, here is the logbook for the daily forklift maintenance inspections. Do you see anything interesting?
Well, all these daily inspections look like they were filled in by the same person, using the same pen. The best part to me is that the box for fuel tank is checked. Okay, but this is an electric forklift. How do you suppose that happened? A flashing light that says maintenance is needed.
How would an objective third party interpret that?
Looks like I don't need to work too hard in here. Along with another flashing light, none of the digital readouts in this area are working properly, and nothing in here has a calibration sticker. I wonder if these measure anything critical to the product. Here we are. Well, this is what I wanted to see. These drums of hexane are also not identified properly with the .flammable sticker. That tells me that these drums are not conforming, and therefore this is uncontrolled, non-conforming product. The missing SDS document that was supposed to be in the file was supposed to be put there a while back, at least when this shipment was received, and maybe earlier. So that verifies the findings we suspected in receiving. There are 2 digital scales in here, and neither of them have calibration stickers on them either.
I can see that.
Hey, you know what else? Not a single one of these drums is grounded with a grounding strap, and there's a pile of steel tools in this room which aren't spark-proof. Also, there's a lot of doubt as to whether the ventilation in this room is adequate for solvent handling. I am limited as to what I can say from an ISO standpoint, but from the point of view of someone who would like to survive for the rest of the day, I'd say that your compliance officer needs to address some of this when she's back from her panic attack.
Well, where to now?
Looks like it's time to pay a visit to your maintenance guy. There are multiple scales and digital readouts that are malfunctioning. There is a deficiency in forklift inspections, and there are lights that say need maintenance throughout this place that say to me there's a gap in conformity.
So, Sonny boy, what's the value of this place?
Well, based on a multiple of sales, it's $45 million.
No, you dumbass. That's your version of the selling price. I want to know the value. There are 4 different values of a business. The first one is the value of the real estate in the buildings. That one is fairly easy to find, and I can also estimate what it would cost to level it and start fresh. The second one is the infrastructure. That's the equipment and also the IT gear. I need to know what that is. Maybe you didn't maintain it. The third one is the inventory. This place has a lot of stuff. I need to know how much stuff and what it's worth. You're keeping accurate cycle counts, aren't you?
Oh, sure.
The last one is the value of the systems. Have you ever had to bulldoze off a section of jungle, complete with monkeys, and try to start a business there?
Can't say I have.
Well, I have. You can build it nice. Fill it with electronics and the whole 9. But until you have systems that people follow and control, you don't have a business. I'm better off starting fresh. Right, boys?
Right, boss. Right, boss.
So here's what's going to happen. The boys and I are going to walk around for a while and see what's up. I'm going to look at your inventory records and kick the tires on the forklifts. As for your systems, all I need to do is get a copy of your ISO audit report.
Miriam can give you the plant tour.
That won't be necessary. Did I see donuts in the lobby? By the end of all of this, I'll tell you what my version of the selling price is going to be, and we'll go from there.
So, Frank found 7 nonconformances in shipping. Just shipping. One process.
7? That's a strong opening act.
Miriam burst into tears and ran out. Carol's guiding him now, which means he's going to see things.
Yeah, but it's just paperwork.
No, it's not. He's going to audit purchasing. He's going to me. And if this audit goes on long enough, the guys in the suits are going to take over.
The men in black? They do give off some alien probe energy.
They're doing their due diligence. And they're probably pretty diligent.
Even if they buy it, they're not going to care about a few hiccups. They're just going to strip us for parts anyway.
If they find what I did, if it gets out, I'm not just let go. I'm investigated, audited, in a different way.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Brian, I used your login.
Wait, what?
Your password was password 1. I thought you knew.
Oh God.
They'll think it was you. You're the weak link. You always have been.
So I'm the fall guy and the boyfriend?
Not mutually exclusive.
Well, I guess I'll have to make myself useful. Maybe help steer this deal, make it disappear quietly.
Now you're thinking like a team player.
Gary, this is Frank, our ISO auditor. We have a few questions for you today.
I'd prefer it if you get out of here and mind your own business.
I won't take too long. I get paid by the job. The first question is, what does maintenance have to do with quality?
As little as possible, if I have anything to say about it.
Well, then how do you know what to maintain? Do you have a standard operating procedure or something similar?
I got 33 years of experience and I got to know all of this equipment the hard way.
I get it. So then how do you know what to maintain? So do you have some kind of maintenance software? Do you have work orders or something generated for your preventive maintenance program?
I know because someone calls me and says something's broke.
These people, like Gary here, are not as common as they used to be. They think because their long-time connection with the founder or some other special experience they have that they're smarter than the standard operating procedure. The Top Gun pilots are like that. The management doesn't know its own processes well enough to call him or her out. They're hard for the management to fire because of fear. But you know what? In the many cases where I've seen it happen, the company ends up better off when they finally bite the bullet and let them go. They may be brilliant at their job, but they make everyone around them angry and resentful, and in the cases I'm aware of, the company is invariably better off without them. Who does all of the calibration at this place?
I do. I have a water bath to test the temperatures and a test weight to test all of the scales. See, here it is. I hang it on all of the load cells, and if they say 5 pounds, I call it good.
How often do you check that weight? How do you trace it to the NIST?
Look, I'm about sick of your questions. Why don't you get the hell out of here?
That's fine with me. I've got enough information at this point. Ready to get out of here, Carol?
Sure. Where to next?
Let's get back to the conference room for a little while.
I don't know why everybody is down on Gary. That guy is an absolute wizard when it comes to keeping the equipment running. He has sources of spare parts all over the place. He's one of the few people we trust with a company credit card. He's a key part of this operation.
Hey, you got a package down here.
Okay, I'll be over there in a minute. Don't mess with it. Look, this isn't a pleasant place to work. There's no communication, and they're cheap. I never have had a decent raise in all of these years. They basically take advantage of my loyalty. A few years ago, when I was having back trouble, I had some surplus Vicodin. I made a couple of phone calls, and the side gig was born. The product shows up in innocent-looking boxes. I tell everybody it's spare parts. I have my customers come to the back door. I actually make more doing it than my day job. I have to go through a lot of trouble to keep people the hell out of here, though. There have been a lot of people wandering around in the plant lately, and I don't like it. All right, it's here. Yep, I'll see you in back.
Aren't you worried about security cameras?
Not really. I'm in charge of the security cameras in this place. Now where's my money?
Sorry, this scene will be a bit boring for the non-auditors, but I have to do a little more research before I write up all of these nonconformances. The auditor is obligated to write nonconformances against a specific element of the standard in the specific work instruction that wasn't followed, so I have to get that information. Okay, Carol. The first thing I want to know is whether or not Gary actually has an operating procedure. You heard during the interview that he doesn't think he does. I want to check this just to confirm that this is the case. Can you get into the folder with all of the ISO documents?
Yes, the ISO documents are visible by everybody. I don't have permission to make any edits, though.
That's fine. See what you can find.
Hey, here it is. What do you know?
My auditor's spidey sense is tingling. Here it is. Maintenance shall use a computerized maintenance management system. Now the plot really thickens. Gary didn't seem to think he had one of those either. It also says that Gary's weight needs to be traceable to NIST, and the client declined to provide evidence of that.
Yes, that's about the point where he threw the tantrum.
Is there anything else on here we need to know about?
Just this.
Oh, it's a change matrix. This actually is very informative. Looks like Miriam is the one who has been managing this document. I wonder if Gary even knew he had a requirement. Can you find a document control procedure on here? Here it is. That makes sense. Miriam is basically in charge of all of this. She's writing the procedures and making them official. There's no real requirement in here for her to let Gary in on it at all.
Is that a problem?
It's actually up to you, the organization, to set up rules for this. One of these can be let Miriam manage the whole thing. That doesn't mean it's a good idea, though. This is an important point. I actually see this in cases where a company has brought in a consultant or bought a canned system someplace. There are a lot of requirements in there that the process owners don't know about because they're too lazy to review their own documents and no one makes them. Some auditor shows up and starts asking where their objective evidence is. Okay, let's see the matrix on this one. Miriam again. I thought so. Okay, let's do one more thing. Is there a way to get into the CMMS system?
Hey, what do you know? It's in here too. The password is password 1.
Okay, there are some work orders that were generated in 2022, but no evidence of completion. Who do you think Mike is?
That was before my time.
One more thing. At this point, some auditors would have stopped the chase because we already have about 6 nonconformances in this process. But there's one more important issue, isn't there? Okay, Carol, thanks for your help. Now we need another piece of information. I want to know if the scales in the bottling line are working properly today. We're going to go borrow Gary's weight and check the load cells in the mixing room ourselves, just to be sure. As the auditor, I am the eyes of the customer. And as it is, there's no evidence that any calibrated device in this plant is working at all. We need to find that out. There's a problem. I can't personally go out into the plant and touch your operating equipment. We don't necessarily want Gary to come with us. We need an accomplice that is cooperative and at the same time knowledgeable enough to know how to check the scales.
I see what you mean. Let's go through the control room and get one of those guys to come with us.
Yoink.
Wingus and Dingus, have you ever seen Gary check those scales?
Yeah, I seen him do it.
Okay, you're with us. You come too, Dingus. You might learn something. Okay, how does this work?
It's easy. There's a hook below each mixer. You tear out the load cell and hang that weight on the hook. If it reads 5 pounds, you're good.
Be my guest. Let's start with number 1. £5. Right on the money. Now for number 2. $5 again? Thank goodness. Now let's try number 3. $50. That's not good. Are we all satisfied that these weights were checked correctly?
Yeah, I done it perfect.
As far as I can tell, we checked all of them the same way.
Well, then I'd say we're having a moment. Since we have no record of the last calibration or adjustment, there is a possibility that defective product has been released to customers. Am I right?
I'd have to say you're right.
Just out of curiosity, what goes into that tank?
It's something called code 326.
Well, it might be helpful to understand what that chemical does in the product. We could look it up in the SDS and take a guess, but at this point, it's not the auditor's job to speculate. It's the auditor's job to establish the facts. Fact is, the scale is badly out of tolerance and/or giving false readings and being used to prepare product. Carol, I think you can take me back to the conference room. I can't tell you what to do at this point, but most organizations have contingency actions for just this kind of circumstance. I will give you some time to investigate this and let me know what is happening.
Rough day? I tried to tell you.
Well, as the falling down guy said, we're having a rare day. Flammable solvent and probable product recall situation, and it's only the first day.
And you're surprised?
I keep thinking, or hoping maybe, that it's just laziness. Something fixable. A nudge or a warning or pedantic lecturing. But in this case, I'm afraid we're dealing with something much more serious.
Well, it's fairly obvious.
Tell me the truth. How do you tell the difference between someone who just doesn't care and someone who genuinely can't?
Laziness shirks effort. Incompetence misapplies it. The lazy forget to fill out the form. The incompetent fill out the wrong form and mail it to OSHA.
So laziness can be trained?
With caffeine, surveillance, or fear of consequences, sometimes. Incompetence, though, it often wears a smile. It tries. It believes. It forwards you spreadsheets that are technically perfect and completely meaningless.
Miriam,
All of them.
it's not just here, you know. I've seen this at the registrar, the client, the cert bodies, the Hampton Inn, the airport, everywhere. It's like no one knows what they're doing, but they all have logos.
Of course. Incompetence scales. Laziness doesn't. That's why incompetence runs the systems.
So what's my part in this?
You're the mirror, Frank. You walk in, ask questions no one thought to ask. Then you leave. Like a ghost with a clipboard.
I actually take some pride in that. I guess the test is whether or not these unfortunate people learned anything from it. Like that guy with the shovel that appreciates a clean stable.
Shovel well, Frank. You've still got some surprises ahead.
Frank, do you think you can come back tomorrow? We're impounding product and calling customers now.
Sure. I suppose we're all about enhancing customer satisfaction at this point. Do you know a good place for dinner?